You're listening to Double Time, your daily accessible technology show. Now, here's your hosts, Stephen Scott and Shaun Preece.
Oh, hello, Shaun Preece. How are you?
Hello to you. Happy Friday, sir. I'm very well. How are you?
Oh, I'm listening here. I'm listening. I'm trying to work out if there's a croak in that voice.
Well, kind of, but not too bad. I was singing away. I've got to say, I was worried about going to the Alice Cooper concert.
I mentioned this.
I was sort of, when you can't see the stage show, it's just sat in the dark with a load of people.
All that. Yeah.
Absolutely loved it. It was amazing. I went there determined to be miserable, determined to, I just got to sit through it.
Hang on. The Stephen Scott approach.
Yes, exactly. Yes. We've been together too long.
You're turning into me, and I'm turning into who you used to be. I don't like this.
It's like Freaky Friday. We're swapping. Yeah. No, it was excellent. Absolutely amazing. I loved it.
Brilliant. Absolutely fantastic. So it was good. It was good fun. Did you sing along to all the songs?
I did, yes. It's unusual for me. Usually I sit there and I may tap my thigh now and again and mouth silently to the words, because obviously I'm British, so very reserved. But as soon as 18 came on and School's Out and Under My Wheels, I was off. Absolutely amazing. 76, the guy was jumping all over the place, apparently. Live snakes, guillotines. Yeah, I had audio description in my ear. From the person who was with me, not supplied, by the way.
If only we had Be My Eyes live at this point, you could have had a volunteer describe the whole thing through your Meta glasses, and they could have got a free concert out of it.
Actually, saying that, I did have my Meta glasses on. Fantastic. I took so many photos, took a little bit of video.
Oh, good.
You were allowed, apparently. Absolutely fantastic. One thing was, couldn't hear a thing, obviously, in there. Now, this is a little bit unfair. Of course you're not going to hear the AI talking to you in the middle of a Alice Cooper concert when you're 20 feet away from the speaker stack. But yeah, I couldn't actually use them in that way, but still so good. Just pressing that button to take a picture. Absolutely fantastic.
So yesterday, after a hard day of toil, I decided to have a little drinky poo to myself. Now, I have to say, Stephen Scott's...
Coffee.
Well, yeah, that's right. You'd think that, right? But that's the daytime. That's daytime drinking.
Oh, not party time, Stephen Scott. Now I'm interested.
It's 5 o'clock somewhere. Well, yeah, I did. As you know, I like to boogie on down with non-alcoholic, alcohol-free drinks.
We should say, both of us don't drink.
No, I don't. I don't know. I've just never really been a
I don't like the taste of it.
And you know what's so funny?
It's a cocktail.
Obviously. Almost all of my friends, bar, a couple of exceptions, have never really drank. We've always had soft drinks or pop or whatever the international phrase for that is.
Yes. Soda.
Yes, thank you. But yeah, so last night I had a cider which was alcohol free, and and I don't mind saying it was a Koppenberg. I think that's how you pronounce it.
Everyone's on that at the minute.
It's really nice. It's a mixed fruit
passion
drink.
fruit and something cider.
Yeah,
yes.
well, I like the mixed fruit one because it's just nice. It's got a nice taste to it. It's quite relaxing, quite chilled out the fridge. Nice. I mean, okay, granted, it is the middle of winter over here. It's supposed to be autumn, but I'm kind of, I stuck an umbrella in it, to keep the rain off.
Yeah, bit of pineapple. Anything that doesn't taste of alcohol, I love. Yes, exactly.
So the thing is, I bought them, through an Uber order. You get the Uber stores. You can go to like a convenience store or whatever, and you can get stuff delivered. So I bought them through that, and I didn't check to know if they were alcohol free or not.
Oh.
Now, I don't mind if they're alcoholic. I mean, if they're alcoholic, fine. But the only problem is it just puts me to sleep. I just fall asleep right away. And I didn't want to fall asleep right away. So I thought, I'm sitting there in the Metas and I'm thinking, I've just been told the AI is available in my region. I've tried Look and Describe or Look and, see what I'm, what was it? You said Look and...
It is Look and Describe, yeah.
Look and Describe. There's something else you can say as well now. But anyway, Look and Describe. And Look and Tell Me, what was I saying? No, it wasn't that. It was something else I said. Like Look and Tell Me What I'm looking at or something like that.
You can say look and it will take a picture and then you can ask any question you like.
Right.
Look and
obviously using the word look has enabled whatever I was wanting it to do. So
yes.
Got that and I asked the Meta Ray-Bans, what am I looking at? And it said you're holding a Koppenberg mixed fruit cider. It gave me a bit more information. I said, that's amazing. Then I said in the follow-up, is this alcohol-free? Yes, this is an alcohol-free Koppenberg cider. And you know what?
Yes.
That was incredible. From my glasses. I was blown away by that.
Doesn't it make a difference? And again, it seems so ridiculous to say this. Oh, I didn't have to pull my phone out. Like it's the hardest thing in the world. But it does make a difference. You tend to use that stuff more. Now, whether you can rely on that information, I've had a few iffy, we all know what AI is like, the hallucinations as it's known. I've had a few iffy responses that I didn't quite trust. But on the whole, it's so incredibly useful and convenient.
I mean, even as, our good friend, our
Mr. F.
Yeah, long-suffering Mr. F. He knows all about my penchant for baby wipes. Because he was...
This is a weird tangent. Carry
on.
On.
He was sent off to, dispatched to pick some up for me when we were in, I think we were in London, England at the time. And Mr. F was with us. And he said, I'm going to the store. Do you need anything? And I said, yes, baby wipes. And let's just say there was a slightly awkward conversation that followed. But I like them because and it all started because I'd gone to the optician to get my eyes checked. I know. Yes. And
still don't work.
Still don't work very well. And yes, come back in a year and we'll tell you the same again. And anyway, and of course you must, even if you have an eye condition, you must go get your eyes tested because it's not just the eyes they're worried about. There's other things they can test. But anyway, so there I was, and I was telling her that I had terrible dry eye and that I use, various types of eye drops. I actually use an eye mist because I cannot get drops in my eyes. For whatever reason, I just cannot seem to do it.
Because we're big babies. I can't bear it.
Yes, that. And if anyone else has to do it for me, it's almost impossible because the light has to be on and I cannot hold my eyes open with the light on.
Ooh.
So I use eye mist. The problem is your face is soaked by the end of it. You're just dripping eye mist everywhere. It's beautiful.
Oh, there's the episode title. Dripping eye mist.
I'm thinking, how do I clean myself up, but do it in a safe way? And I was asking the optician, and she said, buy baby wipes and make sure that they're fragrance-free, because then you can wipe your eyes knowing that you're not going to get anything in your eyes that would make anything any worse. And that was where my journey with baby wipes began. I cannot believe I am sitting here as a grown man justifying the use of baby wipes on my own show. But there we are. That's where it's come to.
I just don't know how we got there from alcohol.
Well, the point was...
alcohol-free.
And I used the Meta Ray-Bans to check the alcohol-free content of my alcohol-free drink.
Mm.
And I thought, I'll try it on the baby wipes. And, I had no idea of all the things that this wonderful package of baby wipes had. It contained. It gave me the information about how many was in there. It told me there was aloe vera. Hello. Vera. She was in there. Yes. Lovely lady. And, it told me all about the amount of whatever was in it. It was very good. I couldn't understand any of it. Yeah, exactly. But I was finding things out and I was just like, this is incredible. And again, from the glasses. Now, you're absolutely right to say at this point, we do have to take it with a little bit of pinches of salt to go along with that, because some of the information might not be right. But the fact that I can use my Meta Ray-Ban glasses, mainstream product off the shelf, to find out information about products. And by the way, the response is fast.
Oh, it's incredible.
You're not hanging about. You're getting a fast response and a lot of detail in that response. You get the click, you get a little bit of do-do-do-do-do-do, and then it tells you. And that's amazing. It's absolutely incredible. So,
and this is the worst it's going to be. It's not
exactly. It's only going to get better. That's right. Yeah. And it was funny because I was telling my wife about this last night, and she's like, yeah, this is all very well and good, but why do sighted people want this? And it's a great question, because you think, well, a sighted person would never look at something and ask what it is. They would just look at it. Yeah. But actually the point the thing it's being built for really is for buildings, is for if someone's on a holiday, they can look at a building or a cathedral and say, what is that? And they'll get information about it. And that's what's wonderful about this. It's not based on QR codes. It's not based on information present somewhere that someone else has to put in. It's looking and seeing what you are looking at. And it's taking that information and it's attributing it to location. It's attributing it to where you are. It's giving information available online. It's pooling everything together. We talked about this years ago. It's all the connections need to be made to make it fully accessible to us. And
that's right.
Only we get that. So
we say that about sighted people, but as I was using my glasses last night, so many people were saying, oh, that is so cool. Even people who were just walking past and they heard me say, hey, whoever, take a picture or take a video. And they actually turned around and stopped and said, "Are those the Meta Ray-Bans?" So yeah.
They know what they are.
Yeah.
But so have you had anyone ask, was that a special add-on that you get just for you? Like,
no one asked that last night, but yeah, everyone was really interested in them. It's very cool.
Yeah, it is. Well, speaking of data, because I guess, information is really the new currency, I think, for a lot of businesses. Yes. Today, we're going to be hearing about a new partnership between Be My Eyes and Microsoft. Now, we had Be My Eyes, of course, on the show just the other day, talking about the work they're doing with Hilton. They have not stopped over at Be My Eyes. Mike Buckley and his team have been doing an amazing job of working with big companies to really, change the face of information, of data, of accessibility around the world. Hilton's a prime example of customer service and how that's going to make a big difference. But this is deeper than this, because what this is doing, this new partnership is all about the data that we are finding online about disabled people, about ourselves, and really challenging that data. I don't know about you, and I'll talk about this in the interview, but, I've been apologized to on ChatGPT. Oh, I'm sorry to hear you're blind.
Ooh, really? Yes.
And I've heard worse from other people who, things like, for example, well, you can't do that if you're blind, or you can't do this. This information is clearly wrong and it needs to be challenged. But how do we challenge it? Well, Be My Eyes is kicking off that road today, kicking off down that road today with this fantastic announcement. So we're going to be joined today by Mike Buckley, and I'm so pleased to say, a Chief Accessibility Officer for Microsoft, Jenny Lee Flurry, on our show.
Wow.
Both are going to be here a little bit later. I did the interview the other day. We'll play that in a little bit later. But there is something I do want to talk about, and that is WhatsApp, because everyone's getting in touch on WhatsApp. Thank you so much for getting in touch. Already, we've had so many messages. I just want to say, if you're sending a message to WhatsApp, we're very early days with this. There's a lot of work we're going to do. We're going to improve it over time. But I just want to say, if you are sending a message in, at this point in time, you don't get any acknowledgement as such that you've sent the message. But we are working on finding a way of doing that. And also, we're not going to be responding to individual messages. We will on the odd occasion, if you ask a direct question that's perhaps not for air, we will clearly respond to that. But because of the amount of messages we're getting, and there's just the two of us, we'll do our best to respond where possible. But ultimately, we're seeing this in the same way that we deal with emails, the way we deal with our voicemails, where you're essentially sending your data, your information, or your question, or your comment, and we're answering it on air. And we're going to continue that with WhatsApp as well. It's the only clean way we can do this to keep it manageable for us. Otherwise, we will literally have no lives, and we'll end up divorced and lonely, and both of us will be in that shed, probably, if we haven't been kicked out of that as well.
We're never going to get divorced, Stephen Scott. Me and you, that is.
Not me and you. No, we're together forever. Or till death do us part. That's grim.
Okay, let's quickly move on. Thank you for the WhatsApp messages. We really appreciate it. Keep them coming.
Yes, do keep them coming. 613-481-0144. You may need to add 001 if you're outside of the US, it would appear. Thanks to Gordon Anthony for that tip. If you add 001, you can't do +1. It would appear, but I think it does change it to +1 when you do 001 on your phone. 001 613 481 0144. I mentioned as well yesterday that all the other avenues continue. Nothing's changing. We're not getting rid of anything, so you can still call on the phone-in number if that's how you prefer to. We want to leave these options open so that everyone can connect with us. You don't have to have a smartphone to join the show. So you can call the show, you can email the show, and you can WhatsApp the show as well. So again, thank you for all your support. Thank you for your lovely messages. Lots of new voices and faces and names I'm hearing. Wonderful. And remember, you can send video messages as well. That's pretty cool. We've already had our first.
Oh, have we? Oh, I missed that.
And you may not be surprised to learn it's from long-time listener Tim Dixon, who just, he's at the forefront of this stuff. He's just so good.
Thank you, Tim.
We're going to be talking to Tim soon. You might remember he was on the show talking about Sight Village recently in his trip. He's going to be back on soon talking about how he made the videos. He's going to be joining us for that very soon as well. So yeah, really interesting conversations. But there is one that came up in the WhatsApp yesterday that I think we're going to be talking about now for a few days. And it comes courtesy of Christopher on WhatsApp.
Hello, Stephen. Hello, Shaun. And a happy Friday to you. This is Christopher Sims coming to you from Melbourne, Australia. Thought I would take this time to share the in case you haven't seen it, the latest video from the Glidance team. This is their latest thinking around stairs and overhead obstacles, fully audio described, and I'm sure they wouldn't mind you playing it into the podcast.
Well, Christopher, first off, thank you for getting in touch on WhatsApp and being one of our first to do so. And yeah, I did not see this video because I think as you were sending it, it was only about an hour old on YouTube. I hadn't been made aware of it by that point. I have since had a number of people telling me, you got to watch this.
Yes.
This is very interesting. So this is a video showcasing essentially the Glidance in action. We are going to play some portions of the video, but we will link to the full video in our show notes so you can go and watch it in full. It's about 9 minutes, but we'll play in a couple of minutes here just to give you a sense. This is Amos Miller, who is the founder of Glidance. He is testing it out. Let's listen into this.
In this view, we see Amos Miller sitting in the entryway of his house, getting ready to leave to meet his friend for a drink. Glide is standing upright, about 4 to 5 feet away from him, next to the front door. Amos ties both his shoelaces, stands up, and says,
"Hey Glide, where are you?"
"I'm here. 100% charged. 6-hour walk time."
Amos walks over to Glide, picks it up from its telescopic stem, and opens the front door. Once he's outside, still holding on to Glide, he closes the door behind him, sets Glide down, and pulls the handle back 45 degrees and is now in walking position. The confirmation chime is accompanied with a haptic buzz in the handle to give Amos the confidence that Glide is in position and ready to go. Amos nudges Glide forward and begins walking.
"Found the line."
Remember, when Glide announces finding the line, it's telling you that it sees the path ahead, its boundaries, and any obstacles, ensuring a safe route as you walk. Amos walks to a park path just a few minutes from his house because it's a convenient shortcut into town. The path is wide, with a smooth concrete surface, beginning with a downhill slope. Since Glide wheels are freewheeling, Amos can set his own pace, choosing to walk slowly until the path levels out. As he continues down the path, Glide's camera detects a branch protruding about 1/3 of the way in. Recognizing a safe route around it, Glide effortlessly steers its wheels to the right, hugging that side of the path until it clears the branch, then gently directs Amos back to the center. Note, since Glide knew a way around the obstacle, it didn't notify Amos of the obstacle ahead. It simply steered its wheels to avoid it and let Amos continue walking forward. Amos is nearing the end of the park path and approaching an intersection with a road without a sidewalk. As Amos walks forward, nearing the intersection, Glide slows Amos down by applying slight resistance on the brakes.
"Approaching intersection 3 feet ahead. Road left, road ahead, road right."
Amos scrolls through options using buttons in the handle and selects to go left.
"Road left."
It lines Amos up in between 2 posts and comes to a complete stop right in front of the road. Amos takes a moment to hear for any oncoming traffic and feels out the road with his feet. As he nudges Glide forward, Glide snaps to the left side of the road. Note, if Glide doesn't detect a sidewalk, it's trained to hug the side of the road of oncoming traffic.
"Found the line."
As Amos continues to walk on a road with no sidewalk in a residential area, Glide is always looking for the safest path ahead. Glide identifies a sidewalk that is en route and guides Amos towards it. Glide steers slightly left, and Amos is now on the sidewalk approaching an intersection.
"Approaching intersection 3 feet ahead. Sidewalk left, crosswalk ahead, crosswalk right."
Glide comes to a complete stop. Amos stands it upright and takes a moment to evaluate traffic conditions before he scrolls through options using the buttons in the handle to select crosswalk ahead.
"Crosswalk ahead."
Followed by a gentle haptic buzz in the handle grip. This is called the tracking buzz, and it's Glide's way of telling you, "I've got the target, follow me." Amos nudges Glide forward and walks to the crosswalk.
"Crosswalk reached."
Glide applies the brakes to bring him to a complete stop at the curb. Traffic is clear, so he squeezes the button in the handle to unlock the brakes and begins to cross the road. Glide is keeping him nice and straight and within the boundaries of the crosswalk line. The tracking buzz in the handle tells him that Glide is targeting the curb on the other side.
Crosswalk complete.
I mean, okay, that is I don't know what to say, to be perfectly honest. I'm just like, take my money now, please.
Isn't it so funny, though, when you see how we've come on this journey with Glide?
Wow.
Because how many of us have changed our mind from that? I'm not pushing a toy vacuum around in front of me until... I'm exactly the same, by the way. I'm one of those people. I want this. Yeah. This just seems to work. Again, demos, produce demos, things like that. I want to try this out in the wild, but I am so interested. And the amount of people I talked to who were of the same opinion, I'm not sure I want to be seen with this. Now, absolutely, this is amazing.
I mean, there's so much in this, and we'll come back to this, but I want to show you one more clip of this video, which is the bit that Christopher's talking about, and that is the stairs. And this is the bit that I think might cause a little bit of consternation, shall we say.
Oh.
Let's play this in.
Up steps ahead, sidewalk right.
Note, this is the first time we have heard up steps ahead, and that's because Glide's camera has spotted a set of stairs. Glide will inform you of steps and whether they're going up or down. Now, Amos knows that this restaurant has a staircase to the front entrance, so he scrolls through the buttons on the handle and selects up steps ahead.
Steps ahead going up.
Followed by a gentle haptic buzz in the handle grip known as the tracking buzz. Amos begins to walk forward, and Glide's wheels steer Amos to approach the steps, but also look to line him up to be as close to the railing as possible. Note, when approaching stairs, Glide doesn't simply notify you and brake before you reach them, it actively guides you to the railing for added support.
Steps reached.
Amos reaches around until he finds the railing, picks up Glide, and walks up the stairs. Once Amos reaches the top, he sets Glide down and is ready to walk forward. As Amos approaches the door of the restaurant, Glide notices a bit of a bump in the entryway. Note, Glide recognizes bumps that are too high for it to roll over.
Caution, bump 2 feet ahead.
Glide slightly brakes to slow Amos down as he approaches the bump. Using the front bumper and wheels, Amos gently nudges the bumper forward as leverage to lift Glide over the bump and continues walking forward, where his friend is waiting and they sit down.
Now, I mean, there's lots in this, and honestly, we've literally got 2 minutes to delve into this, but we will come back to, I think on Monday we'll talk more about this in detail, but yes. I really do feel this is incredible. The stairs thing, though, does raise a few questions. You're having to walk up the stairs by yourself. You would have nothing to help you negotiate the stairs. Now, I do rely on my cane. Upstairs, not so bad. Downstairs, definitely. I do trip going upstairs as well, I must admit, but, I don't... It depends on the stairs, depends on where you are. Some steps you can get to, some are very different in height, different width, thickness, all that stuff, corners, all that stuff that you may not know is coming up. So there's a lot of questions there around stairs and how Glide works, but I suppose it can only do so much in that style. So perhaps you have a cane handy just for stairs. I don't know, maybe you carry one with you for that purpose, but everything else does sound amazing.
Oh, the fact that it takes you to the side with the handrail on.
Yeah.
I mean, it's that detail that makes all the difference. Yeah.
Can you tell blind people are involved in making this? I mean,
exactly
seriously?
The point. Yeah.
It's like, this is just incredible. And the fact that this is where we're at the point before it launches, this is the kind of thing you would expect for a company to say at this point, well, this is what we aim to do in the future.
Yes.
Not this is actually out the box. So, I've reached out to Amos following this. Of course, we want to get him back on the show to talk more about all this. It is fascinating stuff, and we look forward to getting him back on the show very soon to tell us where we're at in terms of the orders, in terms of availability, and these cool new features as well. But that video in full is going to be in our show notes. You can also check it out on YouTube if you want to jump ahead and go and find it right now. We'll come back to this, and I'd be really interested to hear your thoughts for sure. Let's move on, though, because big news today as well from Be My Eyes, as they've announced a partnership with Microsoft. I caught up with Michael Buckley, or Mike Buckley, as we call him, because he's a good friend of our show. Mike Buckley, CEO at Be My Eyes, and the Chief Accessibility Officer at Microsoft, Jenny LeFleury, a well-known voice in our community, someone who does incredible work in promoting accessibility at the company and beyond. We've got the chance to talk to both of them about this incredible story and partnership around data use and how to improve AI training models. And it was fair to say I was rather excited to talk to both of them.
Well, I'm excited too, Steve, and thank you again for having us. The short story is Microsoft and Be My Eyes are going to work together to try to train AI models with more diverse and representative data. What does that mean? Back up for a second. So all AI models, right, are only as good as the data within them. And most of them are based on internet searches. And, you know, very bluntly, Stephen, the internet's filled with a lot of crap. And even the stuff that's not crap is incomplete, right? You and I have had this conversation a bunch of times about the, ableist tropes, right? Maudlin representations of blindness, just rote inaccuracy about the lived experience of people who are blind or have low vision. And so we're going to work together to try to use specific disability data sets as they relate to blind and low vision consumers and all the uniqueness, right, that is the lived blind experiences to improve these models. We're not going to make grand pronouncements about we're going to solve every problem, but we are going to try to use this data to improve the accuracy and precision of understanding of the blind experience, and therefore the results that these AI models are giving to blind and low vision consumers.
I mean, Jenny, it's a really interesting partnership that you guys are getting involved in here with Be My Eyes. Obviously, AI is at the heart of everything we're talking about these days. But it is, as Mike says, so true. I've had my experience of AI apologizing to me when I mention that I'm blind. And I think, I don't want it to do that. This is obviously the kind of thing we want to avoid, right?
Yeah, I mean, we're all excited about the possibilities and how can we extend the benefits of AI, and also how can we mitigate the harms. And I think we have to be very principled in our approach. And that means that we have to invest in making sure that AI is, of course, accessible. I mean, that goes in many ways without saying. And then we also have to invest in the data that is fueling AI and all of the guardrails that are needed to make sure that the right books are being pulled off the shelf. As let's be honest, as Mike said, many of the books that exist on disability are not fully representative of the authentic lived experience. So this is about us adding more books to the shelf that include authentic lived experience of disability and making the results of AI and Azure and some of our key products more representative of the blind and low vision community. And I think that's an incredibly important thing that we need to do to prevent ableism, to really mitigate some of what we know exists in society today. And it's a very methodical partnership as we go forward.
Well, what's the issue here, Jenny? Is it the information is not available, or is it the information is just not being put into the systems that create the AI? I mean, what is the disconnect here?
I think there's a lack of information. I mean, that's one of the key things here that we're aiming to tackle, is that if you actually look at disability representation in artificial intelligence, that's a mouthful. Let me just say that. What we see is that there's some great data in there, and then there's a lack of data when it comes to making sure that AI is appropriately understanding lived experience, whether that's canes, braille devices, guide dogs, tools that we are all using across society. But the amount of actual data on those is less than it should be. And so this is, again, implanting that into those systems. And Be My Eyes, we feel so lucky to have partnered with them since 2017 now, so a long time. We know the magic of the tools that they're doing, and this data is going to be really essential, I think, to fueling that next chapter of AI.
Yeah, I mean, if you search for anything to do with Jaws in Google, for example, or Bing, let's just, say that. But, in either, you're probably going to get a result about the movie. And that's great, but I want to know about the screen reader, And I must admit, things are improving a little bit because there are more resources coming online, which is good. And as you say, Jenny, that's what we need. We need more data here, and that has to be built into these systems as well. But Mike, the question is specific to Be My Eyes. What data will be being made available? Every call we make, every thing we upload to Be My AI, what is going into this?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. First of all, we announced earlier this year that we are actually not going to make the results of AI sessions available for training. One reason is that's probably not highly unique data. There are all sorts of image searches and results that give a bunch of good data. And I think what we've learned is that people basically don't want their AI sessions shared in any way, shape, or form, which is reasonable. But the data that we have that's really fascinating and interesting is video data of assistance between humans, right? So the blind or low vision consumer connects with another human volunteer for assistance on, are these my green socks, right? What color is the light? Is this the chicken soup? Whatever, help me set up my Xbox, right? That's unique data where there's a compassionate human interaction, right? Between two people with a specific defined problem. And that's important because the verbal cues in data are just as important as the imagery, right? For training, but also to successful resolution. Well over 90% of our calls lead to successful resolution. So that's not data that lives anywhere else on the internet, right? So that's potentially quite powerful, right? In terms of unique use cases. And again, going back to that notion of reflecting the lived experiences of people who are blind and have low vision. And I think that's one of the reasons we're so excited about this partnership. And just on that, Stephen, I want to give Microsoft a lot of credit here. I mean, apart from their history of championing accessibility in dozens of ways, not the least of which is, I think, the world's largest disability answer desk for customer service that's ever been invented. But I think this is the first time ever, and it's certainly the first public commitment ever by a large model trainer to say, we must train AI models with disability data sets. And I think that in and of itself is an important thing to get out in the world, and hopefully to have other companies follow. So I hope I answered your question, but this data, Stephen, I never want to overpromise, but I hope it materially improves these models to improve the experiences of the consumers we're trying to serve.
Yeah, 100%. But just to dig into that a little bit more, people are going to hear that and maybe be concerned that suddenly their private calls that they think are private calls that they're making with a volunteer are suddenly going to be fed into a system which will potentially identify that individual or identify that call or perhaps even the query that was made. So what information is being sent to Microsoft or being shared with Microsoft?
Yeah, really important question. And this is all, we've talked about this before. It's really important to make sure that we have transparency and choice, right? So first of all the personal data, like the person's name or email, is removed from the metadata in all these files, right? So none of that is being shared. Secondly, as I think you know, we sent a direct notice out to every member of our community using our service, explaining the situation and the importance of this, strengthening our privacy policy, but also offering them an opt-out. And we received a lot of opt-outs. Now, I hope any consumers listening to this don't opt out, because the more data we have, the better the models will be. But at the end of the day, it's the person using Be My Eyes' choice as to whether or not they want to kind of be in this game or not. And we in Microsoft absolutely respect that. The other thing, Stephen, that's really important on this is none of this imagery of any kind will be used for marketing or spamming or advertising or any of that. The sole purpose of this is literally to make the models better. That's it.
And Be My Eyes has a very solid reputation in the blind community, I think it's fair to say. I just see how much love is given on social media. Let's be honest, there's not a lot of love generally given to anything on social media. So, to see that is actually quite impressive today. But of course, Jenny, from your point of view at Microsoft, your part of our organization is also incredibly well respected in the blind, but also the wider disability community for your commitment to accessibility. And certainly under your stewardship and your role, you have, been out there beating that drum every single time you get the chance. And I know there are many disabled people who are so thankful for that. So, for you, I guess this is a great opportunity to connect with what is the real life of disabled people, right? It's not just the holistic viewpoint of who or what a disabled person is, but, the kind of questions that we ask, the reality of the things we need to know.
Accessibility isn't, let's be honest, we're not going to solve the needs for disabled people, for me as one of them, by Tuesday. This is a lifetime, long enduring task. And I think, the beautiful thing about this partnership and others that we're working on for this exact challenge is that we're all in it together for the right reasons. I think what Mike just said is incredibly important. Privacy and safety and anonymization of this data is incredibly important to us. And we do want to make sure that is in every individual's hands. With the data that we do have, what we will be able to do with it is exactly what we're doing with other sources of data, which is making sure that we're handling it right, and then using it to fuel new tools, new features. And again, we've got some long-standing, you mentioned sort of the long journey here. Seeing AI actually started in 2017 as well. It seems to be the year of great things, 2017, because that's when we first started working with Be My Eyes. That data, just imagine the fidelity of that tool, which is a free app, again, for the blind low vision community that has multiple channels. It understands currencies, colors, understands text, and it also leverages a lot of this AI material coming through. And so it gives an extra level of detail that tools like Seeing AI, like our co-pilots, will be able to understand and repeat back when folks need assistance of those tools and features. So I'm excited about the potential of this to make sure that we're giving another chapter of accessibility that will hopefully empower people.
We had more than 24 conversations with leaders in the blind community before going on this path. I hope I'm not outing you, Stephen, but you're one of the people I called 6 months ago to ask about this, right? Yeah. Mark Riccobono, the president of the National Federation of the Blind, has endorsed this approach. And he obviously is someone who's incredibly thoughtful. I had a conversation with Judge David Tatel, the district court judge who wrote that beautiful book, Vision, who I know you had on your program. And he just said, Mike, sign me up. If it makes the models better, tell me what I can do to help. And so I think we've tried to do this the way we in Microsoft do all of these initiatives, which is with, not for, right? Mm-hmm. You make these decisions, you enter into development agreements, you enter into products with the community of people who are blind and low vision, not for. And so I think we've tried to adhere to that fundamental design principle.
Yeah. Jenny, I just want to pick up on something you said there about the way this can be used, because I guess I'm thinking, and tell me if I'm wrong here, but I'm imagining this as a way of training the models so that when people, who are disabled use an AI or use Copilot or whatever it is they use, would be able to have access to answers relative to them. So if I am asking questions specifically about, say, a screen reader or something, it would give me the information back I'm looking for. But you mentioned tools and features. So are you thinking that this can also be used as a way to sense in a way of what blind people, disabled people out there are actually needing? And then you see that data and you can then act upon it and say, okay, we need to look at this direction of travel for a product or feature in the future.
I think if you fuel, if I take it up a couple of clicks, if you fuel the data with enough relevant information on disability, I mean, you actually mentioned one right at the beginning, which was AI systems apologizing for your disability. And I had that too. And I was like, no, stop. Yeah. We don't apologize for disability. My goodness.
No.
That was fueling the AI with the right data of how to view disability, and making sure that we're holding this as a part of the human lived experience and the talent pool that we all are. And please, no apologies. I mean, good grief. But that was methodically adding data into the systems to make sure that it was pulling out the right results and adding those guardrails to make sure that it was done in the right way. I think it's a good example of what is possible when you put the right data in there and the right guardrails to understand it and make sure that it's relevant for the purpose. Do I think that scenario is possible? Yes, I think there's many scenarios that this data could help to unlock. One of the other projects that we have is actually working on speech recognition data. And that's actually a partnership that we've had for a couple of years with the University of Illinois, with 5 tech companies working together, with University of Illinois as an independent host, collecting data samples from people that may have ALS or cerebral palsy or Down syndrome, and then seeing how that can impact the whole area of speech recognition. And we are seeing big impact there. And so some of the reason we entered into this is because we are seeing what can happen when we do methodically add data. And I do think that this is going to give us, it's going to open up a new chapter of what's possible.
I share that optimism. Look, I don't want to overpromise anything, you know.
Yes.
But you know, and it's going to take time. But the moral imperative here, right? The thing that we must throw all of our resources, energies, intellect, and everything against is to prevent kind of the what we saw happen when the internet came about, right? In the rush to move everything to the internet, what happened? More than 90% of damn websites became inaccessible to one degree or the other. And by the way, still exists to this day.
Yeah.
Right? That's unacceptable. Right? And we have a similar kind of mass rush right now on everybody marching ahead to AI. And by the way, I don't want to stop the progress, right? I just don't want to make the progress leave an entire swath of humanity behind. So yes, I share the optimism and excitement, but I also, gosh, we've got to be diligent and aggressive and try to move quickly to make sure that, you know, the train doesn't leave the station without us.
Mike, on the subject of data, specifically the data that is being used as part of this, or being shared as part of this partnership that you have now with Microsoft on this, and obviously, as you have alluded to, you've both been working together for a very long time, but when has the data essentially started being transferred? When would people have had their data be used in this way?
Right. We've basically pressed the pause button with Microsoft. Obviously, we've given a couple of samples, right, to figure out, make sure these things are germane and actually useful. But we're going to wait to kind of transfer data till the community hears a little bit more about this and has the opportunity to opt out if that's what they want to do. Just because it's the right thing to do, Stephen, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And again, I really hope if you're someone who's watching and listening to this that you don't opt out, because you can play a part in kind of helping humanity here, right? And helping us improve.
Yeah, well, look, we can all sit back and complain that it doesn't work for us or it's not good enough for us, and then at the same time opt out of this. We're not really helping each other in that case. And you know, this goes back to something that Jenny says a lot, right? You've said this many times, nothing about us without us. And that's exactly what we need to be thinking about here. You know, we can't be part of the solution if we shut ourselves off from it. So yeah, we must. And of course, if people want to, they have that opt-out option. Of course that's right. And that is right that it's there. But, you know, we do need to consider this. I'm not opting out, and I don't think others should either. But, you know, again, that's their choice.
That's the thing, Stephen. It's like every member of the blind and low vision community has an inalienable right to disagree with me or Jenny. Or you, for that matter, right?
My show is all about that.
Right?
You know that. I welcome dissent.
Yeah, and so it's our responsibility to give that choice, and I will respect whatever choice anybody makes. But most of the people that I've talked to, the overwhelming majority of people in the blind and low vision community are highly supportive of this. And by the way, I assume some will not be, and that's fine. That's your right. Of course. But our founder and the blind members of our board of directors had this decision and an absolute veto right over what we were doing here, and their commitment and their decision, and Mark Riccobono and yours and others is we have to try to attack this problem.
Jenny, I want to ask you a little bit about AI more broadly here, because I get very excited when I hear about projects that are making websites more accessible by, for example, just speaking to them. That alone just blows me away. Or typing something into a search field that somehow enables lots of actions to happen. I mean, shopping potentially could be completely changed for a blind consumer, for sure. I think about going online and shopping. I find it an absolute nightmare most of the time because I have to. It takes me so long to do, and I don't often know if I'm buying the right thing, and I hope I am, and all this stuff. And is it a yellow T-shirt, or did I pick the right one, or did that selection box change as soon as I tabbed to the next element or whatever? This is where AI can really come in, right? This is where in a broad sense, that can really change everything potentially for us.
Yeah, I mean, these are the potential benefits of AI that we're definitely seeing. And I do think, the one thing to remember with AI is that AI isn't new. I mean, it's been around since the 1950s. And all of us are using AI and have been for many, many years. I mean, some of the tools that we are, that are just common and part of what we do every day as disabled people are constructed with the use of AI. I'm deaf, hard of hearing, and I'm using captioning. I've got a transcript running. I've also now, with generative AI, this new chapter, sort of end of 2022, now got meeting notes, which I can't even tell you how that's changing my life. I'm not having to multitask of looking at my sign language interpreter, looking at the captioning, trying to follow everything and take notes. I can just let the technology do the work. So I do think we're already seeing some of those red threads coming through with what Be My Eyes has been able to accomplish, Seeing AI has been able to accomplish, what we're seeing in just the basics of alt text and adding auto alt text with Accessibility Assistant in Office. But I do think that this next chapter is going to be quite exciting because visually AI can comprehend what is on a screen, what is in a room, at a real level of depth, and allow you to interrogate it. And so, you add that into new UI environments and web pages. You add that into just the simple pragmatics of daily tasks of just, seeing what's in your fridge and what could I or should I cook. I do think it's going to have that added layer and potentially impact, if we get this right, and there's a lot of responsibility in here, it could impact some of the longest enduring problems in the society that we built that is inaccessible by design. We have built an infrastructure of websites where 98% are inaccessible today. Yes, this new wave of generative AI has the potential to impact some of that. So, that's my hope. So I want you to be able to go shopping online and pick your yellow shirt and do it with a degree of confidence. And I do think, though, what's really important is that, as we're interrogating and chatting with these AI environments to help us, they understand the language you're using. They understand the words you're asking. They understand what JAWS is. They know what NVDA is and narrator and zoom text. And they understand if they're asking for magnification of a certain area, to not go to this small percentage, but go to what you need. I do think that there's a lot that's embedded in that some of data like this will help us to do.
Yeah, it's an incredible journey that we're on here with this. And of course, there's so much we could pick up on, and there's so many things, and I'm sure my listeners will be yelling at their respective devices with the questions. So we look forward to getting those questions. And Jenny, maybe you can come back sometime and help us answer some of those, because we get lots of questions, lots of praise as well. And I will say as well, one listener in particular I think about right now is Greg, who's listening to us in Pennsylvania, who just recently sent an email into us saying how much gratitude he had. And he named Seeing AI specifically as something he goes to bed at night and is grateful for. And I just wanted to mention that to you, because that's real world impact, right? And you know this, of course you do. You hear this every day, I'm sure, from many, many people. But I guess it doesn't change your feeling about that information, because the work you're doing is having a real impact and a real benefit to the community, and that must be a great reason to get out of bed in the morning and do what you do.
Well, my goodness, I will pass that to Sakib, who is the founder and leader of Seeing AI. I'm sure he's listening. He is an incredible leader in accessibility and Microsoft. We're very lucky to learn from him every single day. And pass to my gang of accessibility nerds. And let's be real. We're all in this gig because we want to make that degree of impact. I think we're all impatient, we're all eager, we're all trying to push this thing further forward. And so I think that impatience is what we wake up with, candidly. We really do want to move this forward and make it so that we can all do everyday tasks, the same bar of equity, and do them quickly, efficiently. And so us as talent that exists around the world, we all have that ability to smash ceilings and continue doing whatever it is that we're passionate about. So yeah, that does make a difference. But I'm also, let's go, right? We've got this big new chapter. And Mike knows this. I'm passionate, determined to make sure that we do this right, that we are accessible, that we're inclusive with data, and we innovate. And responsible AI is accessible AI. And that's something that actually is a mantra that's written on my wall right now. We have to be responsible, and we have to push this thing forward. So yes, and please, if any of your listeners out there need any assistance or have ideas of any kind, you mentioned the Disability Answer Desk, which is actually how I kind of moved into this role many years ago. That was my baby. And it's now been running for 10 years. It's a free technical support team, Disability Answer Desk. I have a dad, not a mom team. And it is there for anyone. It is staffed by people who get it. They understand it. We're leveraging Be My AI in the process if you want to use that channel. We're taking around, depending on the month, 11,000, 12,000 calls a month from folks that have ideas, suggestions, or they need support. And I would say, coming back to you, the biggest thing that I stay grounded to is that disability is the one community you can join at any point in your life. Many of us were born with or acquired early, but a lot come to our world through disability, accident, and injury, or illness. And so helping folks to ramp is another area where I believe AI can be really, the ramp is easy. It's quite easy to use, easy to learn, and can help you with that journey of disability and becoming the next leader in accessibility or whatever you choose to do.
Yeah, disability doesn't have to be the end at all. Mm-hmm. It can be the beginning of something totally new. And I've been through the emotions of all of it, and I understand it. And I'm sure you do too, Jenny. I mean, we've been through this. We go through this every day. It's not, it's not a simple route. But at the same time, if in terms of technology, it has made such a difference in my life. And without it, I don't know where we would be. I really have no idea. So as you say, it's a very exciting time. Mike, final thoughts. So in terms of where we go next with this, what is the rollout phase of this? And I'm guessing you'll keep all of the Be My Eyes people up to date on this.
Yeah, we got a blog post out today, and we're obviously speaking with members of our community, and we'll keep everybody updated. As you know, Stephen, when we announced kind of the broad intention to figure out a way to use our data to better train accessibility models, the first commitment that we made was on transparency. By the way, Transparency is twofold. It is not only kind of what we're doing, but we also made a public commitment to announce who we're doing it with, right? Like I don't want to be cavalier or flip about this, but it's very different to enter a partnership with Microsoft than it is to maybe enter a partnership with a government or something like that, right? And so we owe it to the people utilizing our products and services, not only what we're doing, but to with whom we're doing it, right? So you will see continued communication from us on this. And as always, give us feedback, positive, negative, otherwise, right? Like we can take it, but it's we have to we have to listen. We have to continue to listen. It's kind of one of our fundamental values. And so,
yes, you can be sure our audience will have plenty to say. I'm sure one way or the other, they'll have plenty to say on it for sure here on Double Tap. Mike, thank you so much as always for coming on. It's great to have you.
Thank you so much, Stephen.
And Jenny, thank you so much for coming on as well. It's been lovely chatting to you again. Come back soon.
Game on, sir. Game on. Thank you so much for the time.
Well, there we go. Another great story from Be My Eyes. I say another because, there's a long line of these stories that are coming out, and we are so pleased that Mike is doing what he's doing in the community to improve it the way he is. I'll be interested to hear what you think about all this as well. There's lots to talk about today, of course. You have the methods now to get in touch, which is email, phone, and WhatsApp. And we will, of course, look forward to all those comments over the weekend. That's my Monday sorted. And I think Monday we'll come back for another coffee and chat. Fancy that?
Absolutely. Always. Thank you.
Yeah. Have a great weekend, Shaun. I hope you're hearing okay over there after the gig. I hope you're hearing everything okay. And I'll catch you on Monday, all right? Have a good weekend.
You too. Thanks. Bye-bye.
And if you want to get involved, here's how.
Get in touch with Double Tap. Email feedback at doubletaponair.com. Leave us a voicemail at 1-877-803-4567. And now you can send an audio or video message to us on WhatsApp. That number is 1-613-481-0144.